up, we have assistant head coach and also tight ends coach Todd Hartley.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Good?
Great.
All right, I'm just glad I'm not following Schumann. Glad I'm following Bobo this year. Anytime you follow Schumann, the crowd might be a little dead. I'm kidding. All right, who's up?
I was just having a little fun with Mike a while ago about coaching his son. I don't know if you have a son that's in the game right now, but can you talk about the dynamic of seeing Kirby's a son of a coach, Miss Champ, and he's coaches. What's just been your observations seeing it?
Man, just a lot of pride, right? Just first off, to have a son that has the ability to play college football, and then you get the opportunity to coach him. I mean, that it's probably a very rare occurrence to be able to coach your son in college. But coach has such pride in Drew and what he's been able to do, and he's done an unbelievable job too. And he coaches him like he's no different than anybody else. He treats him like everybody else, but the sense of pride is there because there'll be some highlights he'll make, and in the offensive unit meeting he'll highlight them and go, "Hey, that's my boy," So it's pretty cool to see that, And if I ever had the chance to coach my son, I don't think it'd be any different.
Yeah, Coach, over here to your right. I'm curious where your energy comes from. Where's the juice come from? You seem to have ample amount.
Well, there's a very high expectation, Brooks, that you bring it, all right? That comes from the head coach, and so I don't want to disappoint. And so, first off, is I do it because the expectation around here is you got to be the best coach at your position in the country. And if you're not having juice or you're not having fun doing it, how can you be that way, right? The other thing is I get a chance to coach football at the University of Georgia, my alma mater, coaching tight ends, okay, which I believe the best position group in the country. Why would I not be excited to come to work and do that, right? And so I'm very blessed, I'm very thankful to have that opportunity, and not to say it, I'm not moody. My kids get on me too sometimes when I'm not in the best moods, but it's just that excitement to be here, man. I mean, walk in with that G on my chest, and that means something to me. Personally, my family's changed my life, and so why wouldn't I be excited, and why wouldn't I bring that juice every day?
Coach Bo was talking about your sec and mentioned that for a short time he's been with the program. He's not afraid of being uncomfortable.
That's right.
I wonder if you can kind of give us an example of how you kind of work through that.
Yes, sir. All right, so first off, it's Jurasik. He's Polish, okay, so I learned that during the recruitment process. And Ben, first off, an unbelievable kid, all right? Unbelievable kid, very mature, as you would expect, a graduate coming from Stanford. He has a presence about him that's this just calm, poised, in control, nothing really, makes him get upset really. Not that he's perfect, but he understands, he's mature, he's able, if a bad play happens, he's able to put it behind him and move on, and a lot of times younger players can't do that. So he does have that maturity and that senior leadership that our room might have been lacking because, we have a lot of younger players in that room, but he's fit right in, Dash. He fits our room from a toughness and a physicality standpoint. He's physical at the line of scrimmage, and he fits our room from an athletic standpoint too. The dude can run and catch. It's one of the main characters you got to have to play tight end, especially on our offense, is the ability to run and catch the football and the ability to do something with it in your hands once you do catch it. And he's shown all those qualities this point in camp.
When we talked to Coach Smart last week, when he was talking about Oscar, he said just how durable he is, how dependable he is. He said he didn't feel right. He felt like he'd never missed a practice. Just what have you seen from him as he's gotten ready for his junior year and what he's bringing to that position?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll say this: the biggest growth I've seen from Oscar is just from a maturity standpoint, right? From a leadership standpoint. He's always been here with Brock. He's always been here with Brock and Darnell. And so he's never really had to assume the role of leading the room. And when you've never done that before, you don't know how they'll respond when they're put in that situation, right? And so from the time that Brock left, Oscar just naturally stepped into that head of the tight end room, and really hasn't looked back. And even having been there, Ben's new and Ben's older, and we'll rely on Ben's senior leadership as well. But Oscar is the unquestioned leader of our room, and so he's always been very physical. Run game mechanics, as far as just footwork and hand placement and pad level, Oscar Del's probably one of the best ones I've coached in the run game, to be honest with you. And so that hasn't changed. Freshman year to now, obviously he's bigger and stronger, but he's always been really good at the point of attack, and we've worked really on consistently catching the football. He's improved that. But the growth in his leadership ability, the growth in his maturity has been the most pleasant surprise for us. And that's really what we needed in that room and our offense.
Yeah, Todd, there's obviously a lot of excitement around Ben Yurosek, but how did Lawson Lucky sort of take that news that you guys were going to bring in a transfer tight end, and how have you seen him sort of attack, grow, continue to work as a player this offseason?
Yeah, I think Lawson, is a competitive, he has high competitive character, similar to Brock. Lawson wants me to always give him more. He's always asking for more roles, for more plays. He's asking for more tape. He has that, that nature about him where he wants to be the best, and obviously you want all your kids to be that way, and some are more outwardly, spoken about wanting to be that way, and so I think it was just, it motivated him even more to be that best tight end in that room, and he doesn't seem as, hey, I got to compete with this guy for playing time, but in reality, he knows that that's probably the truth. But we're going to need all three of those guys to play significant roles for us this year in order for us to be good in that room and on our offense. So his response to having been there is no different than having those two freshmen there. He's going to go do his job to the best that he can.
Hey Todd, I thought I heard you say that you have the best tight end room in the country. Did you feel that way in Miami and Marshall? And why do you feel that way with the generational talent now in the NFL?
Well, I'll say this. If you don't have belief in your players, how are they going to believe in you? All right? And so I show belief and confidence in my guys every day that I think they're the best ones in the country. And that's our standard, is to be the best tight end room in the country. So if I'm not believing in them, how can they believe in themselves? Right? And so I do feel like our room is we have some guys in there that are talented, okay? What have they done yet? I don't know, okay? But I do believe they're going to get there, okay? And so if I'm not believing them as a coach, then I'm not doing my job, number one, okay? So I've had the opportunity to coach some really good players. I've been very, very blessed to do that. My time at Marshall with Gator Hoskins and Frohnapple and Juracek, and my time at Miami, obviously, with Njoku and Herndon and Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory, and then my time at Georgia, even starting with Charlie Warner, okay, and Fitzpatrick and Trey McKitty and Darnell Washington and Brock Bauer. So, there's been a long line of some good tight ends that I've had the opportunity just to coach them, and I'm very thankful that I've had that chance.
This is kind of along those lines, but the first day of practice, I was walking by and noticed your group. You're right there on the sideline. But I did a double take, what group is that? Because there were so many players.
Yeah.
You got a pretty good representation of walk-ons as well,
Yes,
and
sir.
they all look like pretty big dudes. Can you just talk about how you handle that? And what are your numbers out there, including walk-ons and stuff that you're working with every day?
Yeah, it's first off, let me say and this is a big deal in college football nowadays, like the walk-on, right? What's going to happen to the walk-on? We can't do it. We can't operate, how we practice without these walk-ons. They serve such a pivotal role in the way we do things at Georgia from a practice standpoint, from a walkthrough standpoint. And so we're very thankful that they are here. And an old coach told me, John Fabric used to say, everybody has a role, right? And embrace your role. And one role might be a little bit more valuable than the other, but we all go to the same place in the end. All right, from the top to the bottom, from the starting quarterback to the bottom walk-on, we're all going to the same place in the end. So everybody has to embrace their role. And I've always taught, Joe T back in the day said, hey, don't treat that guy any different. He might be the governor of this state one day, right? And so I've always remember that.
Yeah.
And so I don't treat those walk-ons any different than I treat my starters or my scholarship kids. And I think those guys appreciate that. They get a high five and a chest bump when they make a play, and they get a foot up their butt when they don't, just like the starters do. So I'm very thankful for the guys that I have in that room and the guys that we have on our team that help us out. Specifically at tight end, we have 11 total in that room. Okay, as far as numbers, we have 5 scholarship and 6 walk-ons, and in camp I have 4 walk-ons in camp, so that gives me 9 total here right now. So, and that's usually about normal for tight ends, Chip. It's about anywhere between 9 to 11.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coach, the majority of transfers at Georgia are either guys that y'all have played against or have previous existing relationships with.
Yeah.
What was the connection point with your roster, or was this just a football player that you guys saw and identified as talented and wanted?
Yeah, the whole portal process there's no blueprint for it, right? And I think the one thing that Coach Smart does a great job of is he is very selective about who he brings in. Sometimes it might look like we're not as active in the portal as other people, but I think there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a culture and a standard here, and he is very selective about who he brings in because locker room dynamics are important, and so you have to fit certain criteria, not just how many catches did he have, how many yards did he have, like it's not just that, like the person's got to check out too, right? And so to your point, like yeah, it's usually people that he knows that we're very familiar with, and Ben really didn't fit that other than Ben was older. Right, and if you look at our room, if we needed anything, we probably needed a little bit of experience in that room. It's a kid that's played a lot at major level college football, and he was very productive. A couple injuries here and there, but very productive. And you just know that coming from Stanford, he's going to be able to handle the high academic load that Georgia was going to give him. He's going to handle an NFL type pro style offense. That's what they did there. So those things were already a given. And then you turn the tape on, and he does run well, and he does catch, and he kind of hits the physical attributes that you look for too. So even though we didn't have as much familiar with, he didn't play in our league, we didn't know that much about him. We knew those other things, and they kind of checked the boxes for us.
Yeah, Brock Bowers now off in the NFL. What's different about coaching this tight end room with him not being there, and do you miss at all coaching a player like that?
I haven't approached it any differently. Okay, whether Brock was there or Brock wasn't there, pre-Brock, post-Brock. Okay, you approach it the same way. Okay, it's my job to make sure my unit, okay, plays, practices, okay, prepare to the best of their ability. Okay, and it's also my job to make sure I get every ounce out of them that I can. Right, and so obviously, personally, I'm gonna miss Brock. I love Brock. Okay, recruited Brock, and kind of anytime you can recruit a kid, sign a kid, see it all the way through, and now see him in the NFL and kind of achieve that dream that you told them about during recruiting, that is a fulfilling, process. And so I'm gonna miss him, but that doesn't have any effect on our team this year. These guys, we go out and we got the same plays that we've always had in this offense, and he's just a different person doing it. And so, he is a monumental player in the history of Georgia football, and I don't think you'll ever replace that. But guess what? Oscar Del, I'm going to coach Oscar Del just like I coach Brock Bowers and Lawson Lucky and Ben Urosic and those 2 freshmen as well. Like, I'm not going to coach them any differently.
Hey, Todd.
Sir, Roddy.
You mentioned Coach Fab, which made me think about the outside linebackers.
Yeah.
So let's talk defense real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of those outside linebackers that are giving your tight ends this?
Well, if you ask Shadera, he'll probably different. Hey, they're all of them are giving them fits. It's pretty competitive between us and the outside linebackers. He's got a good room, man. He's got a very talented room. And first, I'll start with Chaz. Chaz has been here so long, and he's so strong. He's the savvy veteran of the group. And when we're going against those guys, you got to have a different plan for blocking Chaz. Because we go up to the line of scrimmage and we tell the play. Chaz has probably heard that play, I don't know, 1,000 times, so he knows exactly what's coming. So our guys get so frustrated when Chad seems to be exactly where he needs to be when he's supposed to be there. And so you just got to have a different plan for a guy like that. He's played so many snaps, and he's so tough and physical and such a core Georgia guy, right? He just epitomizes what Coach Smart believes and that makes his program. And so Chad, you can't start talking about something like unless you start with Chad Chambliss first. And then, again, Damon Wilson has done a great job of showing ability to flash and pass rush. And so he gives us some problems off the edge. And you got, I'm just trying to think, Sam and Pimba. Okay, Sam and Pimba has always been naturally strong and physical. So it's hard to get movement on Sam at the line of scrimmage because he's so big and he's so strong. And then the freshman, I've been pleasantly surprised with Q Johnson. There's been some, he had some tape, high school tape of him playing quarterback. And one of the things you look at and trying to find a tight end sometimes is, sometimes these high school kids don't always play tight end. You're like, man, this guy, I know Chadero wants him in his room, but I'll take him in my room. Like, he's athletic, and surprisingly for a freshman, he has not been overwhelmed, as much with what our defense is trying to do, scheme-wise, schematically. Not that I can tell. Chadero might give you a different story on that too, but very, very impressed, and that's the one thing about being at Georgia, and that's the one thing that we preach in development is, hey, you're going to go against the best in the country every day. And so when you go against the best in the country every day, you can't help but get better. Okay, iron sharpens iron, right? Everybody's heard that before, and that's no truer than being right here at UGA and going on that practice field and seeing those wars that you have between the O-line and the D-line and the tight ends and the outside linebackers and the receivers and the DBs. It's good on good. Okay, it's iron versus iron, and those guys develop and get better because of who they go against. And going against those outside linebackers every day makes us better for sure.
Like you mentioned, it's your alma mater. You were here under Rick. You were here under Kirby for a while. And it was about getting that first title. You got it. You got the second one. Didn't get it last year. But what is the vibe, you think, around this program now as it goes into this new era of the expanded playoff, the bigger SEC? What is the pulse vibe around?
Well, Coach Smart's theme, I think he said it at SEC Media Days, was assume nothing. And we've been preaching that daily since we've been in camp, is assume nothing. And it's been almost like a reset button for everybody, right? Is, hey, let's start fresh. Let's not assume that the seniors know it, that the juniors know it. Okay, let's coach and teach to the lowest common denominator in every room and build the foundation from the bottom up again. Don't assume that it's already there. Don't assume we're already on third base, because we're not. Okay, so it's been a fresh start for the coaches, it's been a fresh start for the players, just embracing that mantra of assume nothing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like when you're in it and the way Kirby has built this thing, like it's so process oriented. And one thing in this camp is we talked about the process and not the outcomes. And when you're not thinking about the outcomes and you're focusing on the process, like you don't even think about the playoff. Like you don't have time to think about 12 teams. You don't have time to think about SEC and away schedule and whatever it is we have. You're thinking about today. Like, I'm thinking about what I have to do at 1 o'clock. Like it's 12:40 and I'm getting a little nervous because I got a 1 o'clock meeting. And that's kind of how he's built this thing. It's so segmented, right? Like the process is so detailed and so disciplined that you can't look ahead. You can't look behind. You have to look right now what we have to do to get better today as a team, as an offense, as a unit, and you're not allowed to look ahead. And that's, I think has contributed to our success that Kirby's had and will contribute to our success moving forward.
Got time for one more question?
Thank you.
You mentioned the freshman earlier. I guess just what have been your observations of those two guys so far, especially comparing Jaden, who was here for bowl practices, and Colton, who arrived in the summer?
Yeah, Colton was here for spring as well. So they both were here in January. I've been pleasantly surprised actually to see the growth from spring football to summer to now to fall camp. Right, like if there's ever a great example of why kids, the advantage, okay, of graduating mid-year and coming in and having 15 spring practices and a winter workout program and a summer workout program and getting a college semester of academic courses under your belt already, you can look at those two freshman tight ends in Colton Heinrich and Jane Riddell, because they were swimming in the deep end in January through May. And then they come back in June and it's like they've already been here for a year. Now, I'm not saying they're where they need to be to help us contribute right now, and I'm not even saying that we're asking them to do that. Heck, we might need them at some point this season, and we're preparing them like we will, okay? But to see the growth from the spring and to right now, I have been pleasantly surprised, and I'm very happy with their progress.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you all.